what's the thing that people say on online? Do you wanna see a dead body? Or what's the meme where you call and hey 911, I'd like to report a murder. This is what this is. Rick Scott. You would think somebody who's been in politics as long as he has, he's been an executive in Florida as the governor, he's now a legislator, as a senator, you'd think he'd be better at dealing with the media and coming prepared with arguments. Instead, he ends up that murder victim, that deer in the headlights. It's remarkable. He went on Jake Tapper's show last night to defend the nomination of Pete Hegseth. Defending the nomination of Pete Hegseth before he's actually met with anybody, actually read any details of any background checks, doesn't know about exactly what's going on here, but he's fully supporting his candidacy, his nomination. And Jake Tapper, in the beginning of the interview, is asking, look, what's going on? These are serious allegations, and you're supporting the nomination before some of the things I just said. And Rick Scott starts bitching about anonymous sources. Well, these are all just anonymous sources. This is just all, they're trying to Kavanaugh him. It's ultimately what he didn't say it, but that's ultimately what they're saying. I'm getting that from Pete Hegseth talking to Megyn Kelly, which I'm going to talk about in the very next video. That'll post at 5 o'clock Eastern. So we'll just start there. That's where we are. This is where it begins, and watch this devolve as the unprepared doofus Rick Scott just gets owned by Jake Tapper just asking questions about, listen, if you want to bitch about anonymous sources, but you don't want the anonymous sources to be interviewed, we got a problem.
That these anonymous sources say these things without willing to go on your show or some show, and have you asked them all the questions?
A point that you're making here, the woman who accuses Pete of raping her in 2017, although the police, we should note, did not charge him with any crime. That woman, Pete Hegseth, paid her money, and she signed a non-disclosure agreement, so she can't come on my show to talk about it. Do you think Pete should release her from the NDA so that I can ask her the questions that you want me to?
Absolutely not. Think about it. Jake,
absolutely
how many people,
not?
Wait, Jake. We know how many people sign non-disclosures just to eliminate something. Not that they ever did anything wrong, and he was never charged with anything.
Do you want me to ask her questions, or do you not want me to ask her questions? I'm confused.
So I'm not going to suggest that somebody, change a contract that they sign, but look, this is Trump's nominee. He won. A lot of people don't like the fact that he won. He won. We have to make a change as a Department of Defense. We have the risk of war. The world's on fire. We've got to change how our Department of Defense is run.
Yeah, no,
he's going to do it.
I hear you, but you started this interview and saying you don't like all these anonymous accusations, and I should be able to interview these people. I'm saying, okay. Shouldn't Pete Hegseth release this woman from her non-disclosure agreement so that I can do what you suggested at the top of the interview you wanted me to do?
Absolutely not. I mean, some of these things are done for a variety of reasons. But look,
how am I supposed to interview her and have her not be anonymous anymore if he won't release her from the non-disclosure agreement?
Well, first off, there was an investigation. He wasn't charged. All right, that's exactly what happened. The police did the investigation, and he wasn't charged.
He did pay her money to be quiet, though.
So there was an investigation. He wasn't charged. So why don't people respect these people that defend our freedom? I'm proud of my father. He fought in the Second World War. He did all the combat jobs. He put his life on the line. Pete put his life on the line. Respect him.
Well, I respect veterans and soldiers all the time, but that's not really the point. I mean, millions of Americans have served in the military. That doesn't mean that they should be in charge of the military.
Well, here's a guy that put his life on the line, all right? He's fought for veterans since he got out. He's got the right background. He knows the problem of wokeness. He's going to fix the problems of the military.
Did you catch all that? Attacks anonymous sources. By the way, the anonymous source we're talking about here, especially related to the rape allegation, is a Republican woman who was at a Republican conference. She's not some liberal activist out to get him, the evil left or Antifa. She's a conservative. She's a Republican. attacks the anonymous source, the woman, the Republican, who was paid to remain anonymous by Pete Hegseth. Then he switches to, well, Trump won, I'm drowning here, I have no arguments. We have to make a change at DOD. Risk of war, the world's on fire, and Pete is the only man who can save us. Pete Hegseth, the B team weekend guy on Fox and Friends on Fox News. He's the only man with the skills and the knowledge to run the Defense Department. Like I said, put me in charge of the Defense Department. I'm equally qualified as Pete Hegseth, which is to say, not qualified. He's the only man to do the job. And then he stumbles and he fumbles and And then he starts talking about his dad's service. Oh, my dad! I'm proud of my dad. Why don't we respect these veterans? I'm proud of my dad who served in World War II. What are you talking about, you maniac? And then, of course, it wouldn't be a Republican talking point. It wouldn't be a Republican thinking they're just owning the argument if they didn't mention woke at least once. He reached his quota. Perfect. Good job. 10 out of 10. No notes, Rick Scott. This is a guy who wanted to be the majority leader of the United States Senate. He wanted to take over for Mitch McConnell. Maybe he'd be as equally effective as Mitch McConnell in his current state, where he just kind of passes out while standing up and his eyes closed and zoning out. They'd be in better shape. The Republican Party's talent pool is just, it's just shallow, evaporated. It's covered in algae. It's the bottom of you see these abandoned houses that have swimming pools that are just like a murky mess after it's disrepair in there. Inside his brain, inside the party, it's a nightmare. And this is the best defense they have for the nomination to be Secretary of Defense of Pete Hegseth. This is it. They're proud of their dad who served in World War II. Therefore, Pete Hegseth should be the Defense Secretary. What do you think? Comment below. Call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, you can email me as always, daily@dollemore.com. Please consider supporting this work, helping produce these videos. You can do so multiple ways. You can go to dollemore.info, check out our new merch. We got the bat phone merch that we just put out that I think is hilarious and awesome and, communicates a message. You can also become a channel member. For $2 a month, you can click the join button below, help produce this content, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I am on social media almost everywhere, primarily on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, those places. @Dollemore is where you can find me. I would love to see you there. I will see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another. Hey, I'm very excited. Many of you will recognize the phone, what I have dubbed the bat phone to Jesus, that I make fun of these charlatans and these grifters. And I got a lot of suggestions to make merch out of it. I make a t-shirt or a mug or some kind of a sticker design, and that is what we did. You can see here, it is a callback to the bit on the show. And if you want to help support the show and then get something tangible in return that you can hold in your hand or stick on your laptop or put on a mug, we have it on mugs and everything else, go to dollemore.info and you can support the show in this way. I appreciate it in advance. And also you can just go check out the website that we're retooling all of the merch and all of there's ways to get to Brittany Page's channel and our podcasts and all kinds of other stuff. So anyway, dollemore.info will redirect you to that.